Stina, Jizukai, and others followed the old man in suits, and the group stood up from the round table of the noble restaurant and walked quickly outside. It is said that when this platinum-level noble restaurant hideout was first taken down, the table was full of human skulls. I don't know what kind of noble is eating here. There are even many murals of cooking humans on the surrounding walls, which makes people feel creepy when walking in it. Originally, this hideout was a North American underworld guild. Such an environment is quite suitable for that guild, and now that the Tianxi guild has bought it, it still seems a bit out of place. Let someone paint these murals again someday. The old man in suits, who is the president, frowned and said, in his opinion, although what he does in his position is also eating people, the posture should be elegant. Can't be so rude and barbaric. Hearing his words, Jizukai nodded immediately. Okay, president, I will arrange it immediately. The old man in a suit snorted coldly. Who asked you to arrange it now? Get the shadow thing done first. Jizukai was scolded and sweating. Although he didn't show it, he was very unhappy inside. Isn't he just a former governor? Based on the current strength of this old guy, he is not my opponent at all. But there is no way. In the early stage of the godforsaken game, many former officials in North America held resources, and resources could guarantee their combat power. And no matter how bad it was, it would not be lower than the average level. The blonde woman, Stina on the side, watched all this coldly. She said nothing, but always had an ominous premonition. Will they not have another day? Qin Feng leaned leisurely on a broken stone pillar outside the defense barrier of the noble restaurant. He was wearing legendary leather armor, playing with a seemingly inconspicuous dagger in his hand, with a white lifeless mask on his face, and his temperament was cold and indifferent. When he killed those North American players just now, he didn't activate the ability of the mask, because those people all had killing points. It can be seen that they are not good people. He looked at the defensive barrier of the hideout indifferently, and there were dozens of white bodyguards wearing a full set of platinum-level equipment, looking at him vigilantly. These dozens of people are all elite players of the Sky Snake Guild. They each followed 7 leaders and joined when the Sky Snake was officially established. When the shocking clown incident occurred, these people also guarded the noble restaurant hideout loyally. Among them was a tall and thin white middle-aged mage, staring at Qin Feng outside, and his hand holding the staff was shaking slightly. He is the captain of this team. Usually, he is also a top existence in North America, backed by the official, and his resources and strength are top-notch. But now, in front of the shadow, he found that he had no confidence at all. Fortunately, there is a defensive barrier. Only the defensive barrier of the platinum level hideout can give him a little sense of security. However, if he knew that this defensive barrier was completely useless in front of Qin Feng, what would he think? Soon, the old man in a suit led Jizukai and 6 others out of the building. As he walked over here, he smiled. After seeing Qin Feng, the old man in the suit quickly brought people to him, but they were separated from him by a layer of defensive barrier, and they didn't dare to come out. He only saw him keeping a polite smile and speaking a series of English very politely. He had a little respect for Qin Feng, but not much. How could Qin Feng give such an old man a good face? He heard the other party talking and slowly said, I don't understand. Is there anyone who can speak Daxia language? As soon as this came out, the old man in the suit frowned. He thought that Shadow was trying to gain the initiative in the negotiation, but Qin Feng didn't think so much. It was just a lack of face. Among the 7 people on the other side, 2 could speak Daxia language. One was Jizukai and the other was Stina. Jizukai hesitated a little when he heard Qin Feng's words. He still retained some of his habits before the advent of the godforsaken game, and would look at other people's faces when speaking and doing things. Now he is under the old man in a suit. He was worried that if he answered rashly, he would have the idea of taking over the initiative, and he was also worried that the initiative of the negotiation would fall into the hands of Shadow, and he would be a sinner. But when he hesitated, Stina had already spoken. Jizukai can too. Hello, Mr. Shadow. My name is Stina. Thank you for taking the time to come to our Los Angeles. We know that your time is precious, so we will get straight to the point. May I ask, what conditions do you need to get rid of the epic clown for us? She spoke very directly, and Qin Feng likes this style. He is too lazy to deal with politicians. If you talk about this and that for a long time without getting to the point, isn't that a waste of time? And when Stina said this, Jizukai reacted immediately, glanced at Stina subtly, and then quickly acted as an interpreter with the others next to him. Sure enough, the old man is a little unhappy. Jizukai glanced at the old man in the suit and felt secretly happy. He and Stina are both vice presidents of the Sky Snake Association. Although they are responsible for genius-targeted plans in different countries, they have different levels of authority, including funding, resources, etc., which are all decided by the old man in the suit. Although Qin Feng doesn't like to argue with others, he can still see the micro-expressions of everyone clearly. Idiot! Qin Feng doesn't bother to pay attention at all. Anyway, in his eyes, except for the blonde woman Nakana, everyone else is dead. Hearing Stina's direct question, Qin Feng replied indifferently. You name the price, as long as I am satisfied. This is very subtle. It made Stina a little embarrassed. Please allow us to discuss it. After she said this, she stepped aside and began to discuss with Jizukai, the old man in a suit, and others. Jizukai said first, I suggest giving him 1,000 years of life. He solved the great disaster, Pluto in the Magic City and the epic Phoenix in the Sea City. The Daxia official gave him 1,000 years of life. At most, he was given a medal and named the Los Angeles Chicken Guardian. Are you brainless or really stupid? That's the Daxia official? Are you the Daxia official? I listened to Miss Stina. How much do you think is appropriate? This is her suitor's proposal. Hearing this, Stina hesitated for a moment and said, at least 10,000 years to start. After all, this will save a city and affect tens of millions of people. If we give less, it will show that we are not sincere. Jizukai sneered. Starting from 10,000 years, do we have to add another 5,000 years to make friends with the shadows? Maintain friendly relations. 10,000 years of life. That is a huge fortune that he has never thought of. At this stage, a large guild of 10,000 people can only collect taxes for a few hundred years every day. Some guilds with higher tax rates and stronger comprehensive strength can collect taxes for thousands of years, which is already in the top 20 of Los Angeles chicken steaks. Now Stina opened her mouth and said 10,000 years of life. How can people accept this? Jizukai, I think you are the real clown. Stina glanced at Jizukai coldly. The clowns outside are super gods, and you are giving away your life? Jizukai's face suddenly darkened, and he retorted, do you really think that what you said is what it is? Say less. Shadow will definitely bargain. The 7 people gathered together to discuss for more than a minute. Qinfeng deliberately yawned. This made the defensive barrier quiet for a while. Then, Stina looked at Qinfeng and asked tentatively, 8,000 years of life. Killing the shocking clown. Can Mr. Shadow accept it? Qinfeng glanced at her. 8,000 years. It's okay. But I have to pay half of the deposit first. I don't trust your North American officials. Qinfeng was quite satisfied with this price. After all, there is still a follow-up to this matter. Stina breathed a sigh of relief and nodded immediately. Okay, Mr. Shadow, we will arrange it immediately. Qinfeng, it's troublesome for you to go through all the approvals for such a large amount of lifespan. Hurry up. I don't have that much time to waste. Stina immediately said, don't worry. After all, it is related to Mr. Shadow, so special matters will be handled specially, and the procedures will be very simplified. Qinfeng didn't believe her nonsense at all. The fundamental reason for handling this matter specially is that if the shocking clown exists for 1 minute, it will bring more disasters and losses to Los Angeles. This is the fundamental reason why the other party wants to deal with it as soon as possible. But Qinfeng will not refute Stina's word. After all, she is equivalent to showing the respect of the North American officials for him, and there is nothing wrong with it. Wait a few minutes. I will go offline for trading. The old man in the suit quickly received the reply from above. Now that the Sky Serpent Guild has just been established, there is not much lifespan on the guild's books. To pay Qinfeng this lifespan, he must go through the North American official account. After the old man in the suit went offline, he was at the Washington headquarters, where frontline officials from all over North America gathered. After the real transaction and the lifespan, the old man in the suit came back online and appeared in front of Qinfeng. He traded the deposit of 4,000 years of lifespan to Qinfeng cautiously and with some pain. Okay, I received the deposit. Qinfeng showed a playful smile under his mask. Why didn't he bargain? Because these lifespans were completely picked up for nothing. As soon as the voice fell, his figure entered the invisible state and disappeared from everyone. Just 1 minute later, Qinfeng appeared again and threw a twisted limbs of the corpse of the thrilling clown in front of the other party. Done. Pay the balance. So fast. Stina was a little shocked. Although Jizukai and the others were shocked, they were relieved when they saw the body of the shocking clown. After all, only one epic boss had been killed in the world so far, and they didn't know that there would be a notice after the death of each epic boss. So, they all felt that the epic boss that troubled the Los Angeles ruins, and even the entire North America, was finally solved. While they were relieved, everyone was also a little bitter. The trouble that they couldn't solve at all for Shadow. It only took 1 minute to solve it. Is the gap between people really so big? Soon, a player who had seen Shocking Clown Ernie Ross came to confirm the body. It was indeed the Shocking Clown, the twisted limbs and the bloody smile. These features were unmistakable. Jizukai smiled and said, okay, it's done. Stina. There's still the balance of 4,000 years of life. The old man in the suit smiled and said in the team channel, the matter has been resolved, so we are not in a hurry. There is a saying in Daxia that the one who owes money is the boss. Let Shadow go back first and say that we won't waste his time. When we have enough life, we will send it to him. Stina. Stina chose to play badly. I can't say this. Jizukai, you are thick-skinned. Go and say it. She thought it was outrageous, but she couldn't influence the decision above. Qinfeng waited calmly and listened to Jizukai coming over to say this to him. He chuckled and said, it's okay. You guys collect it slowly. Call me when you have it. But if there is such a thing again, it will not be this price. After the voice fell, Qinfeng disappeared and pretended to leave. In fact, he was still here, because this matter is not over at all. The old man in a suit, Jizukai, and others all smiled at each other and thought that this was a good job. They were about to release the news that the clown had been dealt with, but suddenly, they received a message. Marifek. The clown! The clown killed someone. In the southern part of the ruin, it was a terrifying clown named Prevents. Oh my god, why are there still clowns? When this message came, everyone, including Stina, was stunned. There are more than one epic clown. Shit. What evil did the people of Daxia do? No, Hurry up. Ask Shadow to come back. Unfortunately, in their eyes, Qinfeng had already left, so they could only contact Daxia through official channels as quickly as possible. Soon. Daxia responded. Shadow said that the balance should be settled first, and then a new price will be offered. Qinfeng hid aside, watching the old man in suits, Jizukai and others like ants on a hot pot, anxiously turning around, feeling quite interesting. Soon, Wan Yewei sent a private message to Qinfeng. They said that the last balance plus the next deposit, a total of 10,000 years of life, are already being prepared for you. After the matter is completed, there are still 6,000 years. Qinfeng. Okay, then I'll go back and take a look. A few minutes later, the clown outside killed Super God again. The old man in suits also went offline again, sweating profusely and getting 10,000 years of life, including the previous 4,000 years of balance, plus the next 6,000 years of deposit. Qinfeng also appeared outside the defensive barrier at the right time. Trade with the old man in the suit and get a lifespan of 10,000 years. Deposit received. Qinfeng narrowed his eyes and entered invisibility again. 3 minutes later, he came back dragging a body of a trembling clown with twisted limbs. Trembling clown. You can't kill them all. Really, you can't kill them all. Qinfeng. Done. Pay the balance. Jizukai. The old man in the suit and others all felt that something seemed to be wrong. But the body of the trembling clown was real, and it felt bloody to the touch. This time, it was Jizukai who came forward again, said to Qinfeng, "We really don't have it. The balance can only wait until we get it together." When he said this just now, Qinfeng was still very kind and left with a smile. But unexpectedly, this time, Qinfeng's voice suddenly became cold when he heard this. "What? Are you going to default? I know that your North American official is unreliable." Jizukai was stunned. What was going on? Didn't they talk well last time? Why did they suddenly change their attitude now? In fact, there was only one reason why Qinfeng changed his attitude. Because he was going to close the net. Last time, Qinfeng could still cheat the other party again. But the third time is the worst. If the clown appears again, North America will definitely notice the problem and will not be fooled again. Since we can't cheat more lives, we should get rid of the people who should be killed. When Qinfeng was talking, before he finished speaking, he had already cut open the defensive barrier of the hiding place in front of him with the speed of thunder and lightning, holding the blade of judgment. The old man in the suit, Jizukai and others, even Stina, all showed incredible shock. What's going on? This is a platinum level defensive barrier. It was cut open in an instant. They didn't even have time to exclaim in surprise, and the invisible knife light had already passed through them. You killed the player Thief Clash Thur. You killed the player Mr. J. You killed the player Alpatic. In Qinfeng's mind, a series of kill prompts instantly rang out. Qinfeng did not give the other party any chance when he made his move. Break the defensive barrier first, then he killed all the people in the barrier instantly. These people in front of him were all the leaders of the Skysnake organization. They were senior executives in North America who were responsible for formulating targeted strategies for talents from all over the world. For example, Stina was responsible for the talent targeting and introduction plan for the Western countries. Jizukai was responsible for Daxia. To be honest, Qinfeng did not want to keep any of these people. But after all, Stina helped Daxia this time. So Qinfeng could reluctantly give her a chance and let her be responsible for cooperating with the Shocking Clown to collect protection fees. Of course, there was another very important reason. That although Stina was very strong in her previous life, she had no great connection with Daxia, and she had always been responsible for the affairs of the Western countries. Anyway, Qinfeng's protection fee plan definitely requires a person with relatively high local authority to cooperate. Stina was just right. As for the others, every time Qinfeng killed one, he spent 10 points of divinity and sent him to the place of judgment. The old man in the suit, Jizukai, including Stina's pursuers, none of them were spared, a total of 6 people, consuming 60 points of divinity, that is, 600 years of life. Although it consumed a lot, but Qinfeng got 14,000 years of life from them, which was a huge profit. And when Qinfeng took action, in the eyes of Stina and other bodyguards around, the scene was extremely terrifying. She just saw Qinfeng talking and hiding. Then the defense barrier of the entire hiding place was torn, invalidated, and completely collapsed. There was no sign. There was no skill special effect. The old man in the suit, Jizukai, and other 6 people died one after another on the spot. And then the body disappeared. Among them, Stina's pursuer was a dodge shooter with a full set of dodge equipment, and the dodge rate had been stacked to 72%. Even so, he was also killed instantly. After all, with just one assassination hood, Qinfeng has gained a 399% hit correction. The whole body hit correction has reached more than 630%, unless the opponent's dodge rate exceeds 85%. Otherwise, in front of Qinfeng, it is equivalent to no dodge. In just a moment, 6 people died. Both Stina and the other bodyguards around felt a chill. They wanted to fight back, but there was no target in sight. This feeling almost suffocated them. There was a tall and the thin white wizard holding a staff, who subconsciously began to chant skills when the incident happened. Waves of ice and snow gathered on his staff, and it was about to form a blizzard, bombarding the area where 6 people had just died. Stina quickly said, "Fuck, stop. Is the hole in your brain as big as your PY?" In a hurry, The woman cursed. Before the mage finished chanting his skill, she turned into a shadow, flashed in front of the opponent, and kicked him away. Her combat power is very strong. If she was not in front of Qinfeng, she could beat 6 players alone when facing an ordinary player team. She relies on agility and speed, even in the middle and late stages. Speed is an extremely critical part of the battle. Even if the attack damage is high, what's the use if you can't hit the target? This scene was seen by the invisible Qinfeng, who didn't care. In fact, he was not afraid of being attacked at all. When he was invisible, he would automatically gain a shield to prevent damage, as well as a shield to prevent damage from the lightning element, plus the inviolable affix that can block negative effects. Even if he stood there, almost no one could kill him. Mr. Shadow, we won't delay the final payment, and we will pay the money immediately. Stina didn't understand why Qinfeng suddenly changed his attitude. She was sweating and quickly communicated with the higher-ups. Now the old man in the suit is dead, and he died with Jizukai and the others. They died inexplicably and are gone. It seems that everyone is still online, but there is no resurrection, and no news has been sent in the guild channel. Obviously, this was captured by the Shadow. As high-level strongmen in North America, they have naturally heard that the Shadow has a way to capture people. No one knows where the people have gone, but the people captured by the Shadow have never come back. The 6 of them were captured by the Shadow. Stina quickly reported to the higher-ups. At the same time, she wanted to stabilize Qinfeng. However, Qinfeng had stopped his hand and reappeared. He looked at Stina with the Wusheng mask. I tell you the truth. Stop it. There are clowns outside. This shocking clown seems to be able to generate 2 from 1 and 3 from 2. The more I kill, the more I get. This situation, I can't solve it either. Hearing Qinfeng's words, Stina and the nervous bodyguard players around were all stunned. What the hell? The more the clowns are killed, the more. This is playing with your sister. It's not good to keep cheating you, since you are easy to talk to. I'd better remind you. Qinfeng looked at Stina and said lightly, of course, there is still a balance of 6,000 years to pay. Shock, despair. The more the clowns are killed, the more. This news made Stina completely confused. Such an epic boss. Even Shadow can't solve it. How can people play it? Stina was a little helpless and desperate. Okay, I will report to the higher-ups right away. In this case, the Los Angeles ruins may be abandoned. Qinfeng thought for a while and said, I know you are anxious, but don't worry. In this case, I can still find a way to solve it for you. As long as you pay 10,000 years of life to hire me. I can go and have a chat with the shocking clown. I will tell it about the principles of scientific development and sustainable development, so that it will stop killing Los Angeles players and let Los Angeles return to its previous state. Of course, this may require all Los Angeles to pay a small price, and everyone will give the clown a little life. You also know that the reason why this boss came to Los Angeles to kill randomly is because he wants to accumulate life, right? Hearing Qinfeng's words, Stina was a little dumbfounded. But then she thought, it seems that if the boss can really agree, this solution is very reliable. After all, in this way, it is other Los Angeles players who pay their lives, not the North American official, which is completely acceptable to the North American official, and it can also preserve the massive development resources inside and outside the Los Angeles ruins, and this is only temporary. When we grow up, we can find a way to get rid of the clown. Stina's idea was good, but what she didn't know was that if things continued like this, by the time they could really kill the epic clown, the clown would have already evolved into a legendary one. Of course, at the moment, Qinfeng's proposal is very reliable. Please let me discuss it with the higher-ups. Stina hesitated for a moment and said, Hanfeng, whatever. When you have made your decision and prepared your lifespan, contact me. Or you can try to talk to the boss yourself. After Qinfeng finished speaking, he disappeared. Stina wanted to cry, but had no tears. After all this time and paying a full 20,000 years, there were still 3 clowns outside. And if you want Shadow to help solve it, you have to pay another 10,000. This man is so treacherous. Stina sighed secretly, but she didn't know that Qinfeng had led her astray about the mechanism of this epic boss. At this time, Qinfeng returned to the place of judgment after becoming invisible. Qinfeng was still looking forward to Jizukai and the other 6. After all, theoretically speaking, it was these guys who made the decision to attract the great disaster Hades and want to kill Qinfeng. And such people must have done a lot of dirty things in their daily lives. After the judgment, it must provide a lot of benefits, right? The place of judgment. When Qinfeng returned, Jizukai, the old man in a suit, and the other 6 people who had just been sent to this place all frowned. Obviously, they looked at the surrounding environment and found that things were not simple. The place of judgment. The old man in a suit, Jizukai, and 6 others were all sent to this place. They listened to the system prompts in their minds and learned what this place was. The place of judgment, but this made them even more confused. Judgment. Who will be judged? Although they were separated from each other in the place of judgment, but according to the system prompts, they learned that 5 other people came in with them. Fuck. Mr. G and the others have also come in. Why didn't Miss Stina come in? Is this place related to the Shadow? The combat power of these 6 people, except for the old man in a suit who was the leader, belongs to the top existence in Los Angeles. Otherwise, someone like Jizukai would not be able to become one of the leaders of the Sky Snake Guild. Of course, for Jizukai, the most important thing is to have the right stance to sit in this position. At this time, The 5 men and 1 woman were at the edge of the white jade maze, looking at the white jade walls around them, and frowned. Soon, they noticed the white jade platform in the distance. Unfortunately, at this distance, they could not see who was on the white jade platform. Naturally, they could not see the conversation between Qinfeng and Ashasas. Or to be more precise, it was the conversation between Grey Chicken and Ashasas. When Qinfeng returned to the white jade platform in the Judgment Land, he brought the little phoenix with him, and the little phoenix stood on his shoulder. Cici, you have worked hard. Qinfeng nodded to Ashasas. Ashasas stood up, bowed, and replied with a slight smile. It's not hard. Here. Then she looked at Grey Chicken. Is this your pet? Hell Phoenix. Not bad. Hearing this, Grey Chicken was dissatisfied. Hey, you are so arrogant. My brother, the great Hell Phoenix, is just not bad in your eyes. When it said this, Ashasas looked at it with a pair of pale golden eyes, smiling without saying a word. Qinfeng was a little speechless, and patted the Grey Chicken's head. Be honest, your ancestors may have been beaten by this person. The Grey Chicken was shocked and immediately realized that something was wrong. It didn't have time to think about it, and it began to kowtow to Ashasas on Qinfeng's shoulder. God, spare my life. I'm still young. Don't eat me. If you want to eat Osirio. It has many bones and is suitable for making soup. Osirio is not the first time to come to the Judgment Land. Just now it was stunned, wondering how this little phoenix is so brave. You know, the first time Osirio came here, he saw Ashasas and knew that this person was not someone he could mess with. Result. Hearing the Grey Chicken mentioning himself, Osiris couldn't bear it. You are bullying the dragon too much? I have many bones, so I am suitable for making soup. You are tender and suitable for stuffing. I will buy dumpling skins later. You wait for me. You two can quarrel. Qinfeng was speechless, picked up the Grey Chicken and threw it to Osiris, letting them quarrel. He came to Ashasas. I couldn't help asking. Shishi, do you think these 2 guys can be saved? Ashasas smiled slightly. No hope. Let's make soup. As soon as these words came out, the 2 people who were still quarreling next to them, one big and one small, instantly closed their mouths and trembled. Qinfeng took a look and sighed secretly. Only Ashasas can control these 2 guys. At this time, Ashasas, the white-robed judge, leaned against Qinfeng's side and back, respectful. Like a maid. Although she is sacred and noble, she is gentle and considerate. Being with her is like being bathed in spring breeze. Qinfeng stood on the white jade platform and looked at the white jade maze space in front of him. Judgment. He held the blade of judgment in his hand. His expression turned cold, and he directly changed the rules of the small game with ease, and then launched a trial against the 6 people. The 6 people this time were the leaders of the Skysnake organization. Before the advent of the godforsaken game, these 6 people had a relatively high social status. For example, the old man in a suit is the governor of a state in North America. Jizukai is one of the largest farmers in California. There are others, either North American officials or successful business people. Those who can sit in such a position are basically impossible to be ordinary civilians. Such people, not to mention that their hands are stained with blood. At least they must have done something dishonorable. However, dishonorable things do not necessarily mean guilt. Let's take a look at their memories first. Before the trial began, Qinfeng checked the memories of these 6 people, focusing mainly on what they had done. For example, the old man in the suit did many things to frame political opponents before and after he became governor. During his tenure as governor, he launched many policy reforms, infringed on the interests of many minorities, and indirectly killed many people. For example, Jizukai, who was able to become the largest farmer in California, one of them. It is impossible to rely entirely on peaceful competition. He used all means to coerce and kidnap behind the scenes. In his early years, he even killed 2 Daxia compatriots with his own hands, just because they came to ask for wages. It is obvious that although Jizukai is rich, his history of making a fortune is dark. Execute. Qinfeng finally gave the order. The power of judgment in his body, activated through the Judgment Blade, instantly determined the fate of the 6 people. You judge Jizukai, mister? Ja. No. The basic attribute of Judgment Blade increased by 7%. The upper limit of the divinity of Judgment Blade increased by 7 points. Do you want to observe the illusion where the judgment target is located? B. A series of system prompts came. Sure enough, these 6 people are all strong. At least stronger than the previous corpse collector, but not as good as Huang Ziqing, who touched the Abyss skill. Judging these 6 people requires 15 to 20 points of divinity respectively. Qinfeng replenished the Judgment Blade twice, consuming nearly 500 years of life before he finished judging the 6 people. Fortunately, the effect was not bad. After the 6 people were judged, Qinfeng obtained a total of 13% of the basic attributes of the Judgment Blade and 13 points of the Judgment Blade's divinity limit. As for the fate of the 6 people, the most sinful one was Jizukai. This guy left Daxia when he had money, joined North American citizenship, and attacked his compatriots. Later, he kept framing his compatriots for the sake of his correct position. Even the great disaster Pluto in the Magic City was initiated by this guy, who wanted to take this opportunity to kill Qinfeng. In the end, this guy was thrown into the punishment of the Mountain of Knives. The other 4 people, including the old man in a suit, were thrown into the punishment of the frying pan. The key point is that these people all wanted to use Qin Feng to kill the shocking clown, only this guy has a mind full of pornography. Qin Feng was a little speechless. That was Stina's pursuer. This guy has a good status in North America. He has power and money. He picks up girls everywhere and abandons them after playing with them for a few days. Among them, there are many Daxia students. The most outrageous thing is that this guy is very stingy. Every girl he has played with has basically not gained any benefits. In many cases, even the hotel bill is paid by the girls. The final judgment result is, he will meet the girls he has cheated on in the illusion, one after another. But before each good thing starts, the girls will take out scissors one after another. Click. Oh, fuck. Shit. No. The screams kept coming out. One person on a mountain of knives, 4 people in a frying pan, and one person being cracked endlessly. After observing the punishment illusion, Qin Feng suddenly felt that the intensity of the punishment of the mountain of knives and the frying pan was just like that. In contrast, that guy was constantly being cracked, then grew out, and then was cracked again. For some people, this kind of torture may be even more miserable. Of course, as long as they are judged by Qin Feng, no one will have a good ending. Everyone is facing endless torture, physical pain, mental torture, endless, and Jizukai. The old man in a suit and others are not fools. When they experienced all this and began to suffer endless reincarnation, torture, they soon understood everything. Shadow. It's Shadow. Shadow killed us, and then caught us to this place of judgment. People who were killed and disappeared by Shadow before were all sent here. Could it be that I will continue to experience all this here in another reincarnation? Jizukai fell straight down to the mountain of knives again. His body was already covered with marks of swords and knives, and there were bloody holes all over his body, which made him extremely painful. He struggled in midair, was terrified, and the feeling of being pierced by the swords and knives stimulated him all the time. In this state, he couldn't even die. Shadow, I was wrong. I was wrong. Give me a quick death. He cried and shouted to apologize, but unfortunately, even if Qin Feng heard it, he would not give him any chance. But at this time, Qin Feng looked at some people who had been punished before. For example, Huang Ziqing, who had been tortured by the Sword Mountain, and Gao Xiaoyi, the corpse collector in the oil pan. These guys seemed to be a little numb. Qin Feng frowned. Huang Ziqing didn't even scream when he fell. Gao Xiaoyi was waiting to die in the oil pan without moving, not struggling at all, like a dead fish. Give them something exciting. Anyway, the trial is over. Can they exchange their punishments? Experience a new version. Qin Feng asked Ashashisi beside him about this question. When Ashashisi heard his request, her beautiful golden eyes were surprised, and she tilted her head and said, "Hair, you are really a devil." She thought for a while and said, "It's okay to do this, but it will consume a little divinity, and there is no benefit. Are you sure you want to do this? If you want, I will teach you. It will consume divinity. Forget it." Qin Feng waved his hand. If it's like a dead fish, it's a dead fish. I'm not a sadist, right? Ashashisi pursed her lips and smiled slightly. "Hair, you are really stingy." Qin Feng also smiled. "Thank you for the compliment." North America, Los Angeles ruins. After Qin Feng dealt with the 6 people, he returned to the hideout of the Noble restaurant. Compared to before, Qin Feng is now a distinguished guest in North America. Stina personally brought him to the round table in the middle of the Noble restaurant to attend the protection fee meeting. In addition to Stina, the North American players who participated in this meeting included the presidents of the top 10 guilds in Los Angeles, and the long-haired beauty Dawn, who was selected from the 14 Daxia guilds in Los Angeles. Dawn's combat power was already very strong. Among the 14 Daxia guilds, it was at the top level. In addition, she was a good friend of Stina, so she was recommended to attend this meeting. At this time, Dawn and Stina sat on both sides of Qin Feng. As a Daxia player, the former naturally admired Qin Feng very much, and her beautiful eyes were shining when she looked at Qin Feng. She never expected that because of this incident. She could add Shadow as a friend, and even attend the meeting with Shadow to determine the future fate of the entire Los Angeles. And Stina entertained Qin Feng with all her heart. A lot of Los Angeles local delicacies were prepared for Qin Feng. Of course, these were made from the divine book of the local Tower of Divine Power. Even so, Qin Feng still refused. Let him eat food prepared by others. It's impossible in this life. The 10 guild presidents in North America sitting at the round table all had very subtle looks in their eyes. They knew that the 7 leaders of the Sky Snake Guild, except Stina, had all been solved by Shadow. As for where they went, no one knew. In short, the 6 people disappeared after being killed, although their bodies were still alive in reality. Just like the people who disappeared in Shadow's hands before, these people would starve to death in a few days. In reality, the unknown brings fear. This made the 10 guild presidents in North America sit upright. Even the most ferocious underworld guild boss in the past did not dare to disrespect Qin Feng now. This is the deterrence brought by strength. In fact, even if Qin Feng's strength is 1 level higher than these people, they would not be so afraid. But the key is, Qin Feng's strength is more than 1 level higher than theirs. There is also a plump blonde beauty wearing a priest's robe, who has been flirting with Qin Feng during the meal. But unfortunately, Qin Feng completely ignored her. Finally, after Qin Feng came and sat for a few minutes, the last participant finally arrived. That is, Shocking Clown Assassinger. The Shocking House obeyed Qin Feng's order and sent a Shocking Clown to negotiate here and participate in the protection fee plan. when the black figure with twisted limbs appeared from the darkness with 2 knives in hand, accompanied by a sinister smile. Everyone attending the meeting felt weird and nervous. Nervousness is natural. This is an epic boss. And weirdness is, when can players and monsters sit at a round table to negotiate? For the sake of Shadow, I'm negotiating with you. Don't be ungrateful, or I'll kill you all. Ashesinger, the clown, is a tall and thin clown. He walked into the field step by step. If it weren't for Qin Feng, the guild leaders around would have been scared and ran away. Even so, seeing the clown approaching, the guild leaders were shaking, creaky. The clown came to the opposite side of Qin Feng, stretched out his twisted arms, pulled out a chair, and then sat down and even crossed his legs. Qin Feng took the initiative to throw out 3 light and shadow crystals. This thing can record the results of this meeting. Qin Feng threw the 3 light and shadow crystals to Stina, Dawn, and the clown, and then said, "Let's get started. First determine the price, then determine the execution method." In fact, Han Feng's protection fee plan is simple to say, but it is quite difficult to implement. At least, relying on just one shocking clown. It is absolutely impossible to master and manage so much information. So this is the role of Stina. As for the existence of Dawn, it is also useful because an additional clause needs to be added to the protection fee plan. No matter whether the lifespan has been paid or not, anyone who has killed the 14 guild players of Daxia will be hunted down by the shocking clown. This move is to protect the Daxia players who are temporarily unable to return to Los Angeles. As for whether the people present agree, one Qin Feng is here, one clown is here. Do they dare not agree? Half an hour later, under Qin Feng's command, the negotiation on the future development of Los Angeles ruins came to a successful conclusion, known as the Noble Restaurant Meeting. Participants included Qin Feng, the official representative of North America, Stina Moser, the representative of Los Angeles Ruins' Daxia Guild, Dawn, the representative of the Epic Boss, terrorizing clown Assassinger, and finally the presidents of the top 10 Los Angeles guilds who are responsible for execution. Of course, success is for Qin Feng and Daxia players. For the North American players in the field, each one felt as uncomfortable as if they had eaten a fly, but they could only swallow it. There was no way. From now on, Los Angeles Ruins, led by the top 10 guilds, must provide life for terrorizing clown every week. Each guild needs to hand in 1 day of life every day according to the number of people, which is 7 days a week. The guild name, the number of guild members, and the number of days of life are all counted by Stina. After the statistics are completed, Stina will give it to the shocking clown. After getting the list of guilds, the shocking clown will patrol the entire Los Angeles area. It can kill any guild that is not on the list. Such a protection fee is not expensive. Many guilds and civilian players can accept it, and it will not even affect the daily lives of too many people. Basically, if it is implemented, it is equivalent to each guild giving about 10% of the tax to the shocking clown. This price is acceptable to both the guild and the guild players. Therefore, if you want to develop safely, then you must pay this protection fee. As for Qin Feng, this is a major source of life in the future, a guaranteed income of 35,000 years of life every week. This is like in Daxia. Almost everyone has thought that if every Daxia person gives himself $1, wouldn't it be easy to achieve more than 10 small goals? $1 per person is nothing to most people, but when put together, it is a huge number. Qin Feng is like this now. It's a pity that the player population in Los Angeles is not as dense as that in Daxia City. Otherwise, this wave can earn several times more. Qin Feng is not dissatisfied, at least at this stage. With such a life income, it is basically enough in terms of life, of course. It is just basically enough. If Brother Qi brings some divine weapons next time, he still can't afford it. After the meeting, the shocking clown said that they would give them 1 day to prepare the first week's protection fee, and then left in a swagger. From then on, the Los Angeles Ruins entered the era ruled by the shocking clown. The main body of the shocking hut is directly in the teleportation array room. Make it impossible for everyone in Los Angeles to escape. Want to develop? Obediently pay the protection fee. No one knows how many terror clowns there are in the ruins of this city, but anyone who has not paid the protection fee will die if they meet the terror clown. When the results of the Noble Restaurant Meeting came out, the whole world was shocked. Oh, Los Angeles is so miserable. Fortunately, I moved to Twist City last year. It's okay. This protection fee is really not expensive. I can get at least 200 days of life a day. Paying 1 day is nothing at all. Didn't you notice the most critical point? We players can actually negotiate with Epic Boss. It's incredible. If I can cooperate with the Epic Boss, wouldn't I be invincible? Wake up. This negotiation is also led by Shadow. Otherwise, the boss will not pay attention to you. Not just North America. This incident directly affected the whole world and shocked countless players. And in North America, Stina Moser became the guild leader, but it was no longer the Skysnake Guild. Instead, it was renamed Los Angeles Security Group. The North American authorities deployed many strong men to join and become Stina's subordinates, cooperating with her to manage the safety of Los Angeles and directly contact Congress. After the North American authorities announced the results of the negotiations with the shocking clown, many Los Angeles players who were originally offline have returned online. They were very excited and took the initiative to pay the protection fee. For them, being able to continue to develop outside is the best result. Some people do not want to pay the protection fee and want to leave Los Angeles ruins in groups. As a result, as soon as they arrived at the teleportation array, they were killed by the shocking clown who was squatting. This situation also made the players of Los Angeles ruins realize a fact. They seemed to be enclosed by this epic boss. When Los Angeles ruins, the news was reported back to Daxia, which triggered a new round of worship craze for Shadow. Of course, some people were unhappy. With Shadow's strength, he can just kill people in North America. If I were him, I would not let a North American animal go, brother. Even if you kill 10 people in 1 second, it will take more than a year to kill all the North Americans without eating, sleeping, or resting. Don't you need to grow? No. If you kill others, others can also kill us. If Shadow really kills people over there, the civilians of Daxia will definitely suffer. That's right. No matter how strong Shadow is, he is only one person, and it is impossible for him to protect all of us. In the final analysis, you still have to become stronger. Daxia was also relieved about the handling of the Los Angeles incident. In fact, the higher-ups were indeed afraid that Qin Feng would cause some catastrophic events in Los Angeles. In that case, Huang Feng would be fine, but Daxia would definitely be in trouble. In fact, Qin Feng is completely focused on his own development. He has no interest in killing people. Or in other words, he has no interest in killing civilians. He is not a child anymore. What's the big deal about stepping on ants every day? At this stage, development is still the most important. When you reach level 35, you can use the bell to summon Ashasis, again to take the next inheritance test. At present, although Qin Feng can see Ashasis at any time, the rules of the God-Forsaken game cannot be changed. The function of upgrading skills is the ability given to her by the God-Forsaken game. Before inviting her to the hideout, she can't upgrade my skill level. Qin Feng shook his head. Continue to upgrade. But before that, you can kill the octopus tentacle monster in Zhanghai City in seconds. This is Qin Feng's next target for instant killing. The octopus tentacle monster in Zhanghai City is an epic boss named Unclean Head, Touch of Pollution. This guy is located in a treasure land for early and mid-level training, the Polluted River. The most important mechanism of this epic boss is the shield. In the previous life, Qin Feng participated in the siege of this Ba, which was considered an early epic boss, but he did not bring Qin Xiaoyu with him, but teamed up with some strong people from other cities. It was still relatively early at that time, and dealing with the epic boss was a pioneering work. Qin Xiaoyu's strength was not enough, and forcing participation would only lead to death. With my current strength, I can ignore the shield. When this boss appears, 2 knives will kill it in the next stage, and 2 more knives will kill it in seconds. I hope to get some legendary assassin equipment and skill books, but it's a bit troublesome to lure this boss out. Qin Feng thought about it. He couldn't make the octopus monster appear alone. The main thing is that enough players must gather together to have a chance to attract the boss. Otherwise, the epic boss has been in the depths of the Polluted River, and the water of the Polluted River is full of whispering energy. Even if Qin Feng jumps in, he will die. Let's ask the officials for help. Qin Feng didn't care too much. He first got the last 16,000 years of life from Stina. A great harvest. Then he used the teleportation stone to return to the soul purification land in the ruins of Zhanghai City. He flew out on Osiris, and when he passed the center of the ruins, he saw the eyeless stone man statue. This thing is also an epic boss. Qin Feng also knew how to activate it, but he didn't plan to fight it for the time being, because the mechanism of this thing needs to be coordinated. Unless Qin Feng can kill it in one blow, there are no other players who can cooperate with Qin Feng at this stage soon. When my damage doubles again, I can almost kill the stone man in 1 second. Qin Feng was not in a hurry. At the same time, the Zhanghai City officials quickly mobilized and got busy. Hurry, hurry, hurry. The Shadow God said that we need some help to lure out an epic boss. Director Dai said that 46 people can be sent. Hey, lure out an epic boss. Will it be dangerous? Why with Shadow here? What are you afraid of? If you don't go, there are plenty of people who will... I'll sign up. Wait a minute. I'll go back and put on some makeup. Soon, in addition to Wang Meng, NU and their team, an official team of 240 people was quickly assembled under the arrangement of Director Dai, who did not want to reveal his name. Ruins of Zhanghai City. When Qin Feng finished speaking, the entire Zhanghai official became busy, quickly summoned 4 teams of 60 people, gathered together, and rushed to the coordinates given by Qin Feng, because they did not dare to delay Qin Feng's time. These people each had at least gold level mounts, and the speed of travel was quite fast, and Qin Feng rode Osiris to fly in front when passing a dry waterfall along the way. He found an 18th level platinum level boss on the waterfall. The upper body was a human woman covered with spider silk, and the lower body was a purple spider, which was very charming. Now Qin Feng is level 30, and the experience decay of killing this thing is very outrageous. And there is basically no benefit, even if it is evolution points. It is estimated that it will only be 1 point per touch. So originally, Qin Feng did not plan to take action. But when he passed by, he saw 2 teams besieging the boss, and there were constant sounds of cursing. One of the parties was a guild called Dragon's Roar, whose president was a girl named Awu, who was also an acquaintance of Qin Feng in the previous life. Moreover, Qin Feng also saw a familiar figure in the guild team, which was Yang Xiaoya. On the other side was the Bone Guild, This guild was notorious and liked to occupy territory and so on, including Hu Qibin. The fat man who Qinfeng had killed before, was the vice president of this bone guild. Up to now, the outdoor environment in Zhenghai City is still good under official control. Basically, there will be no malicious killings, but fighting for monsters and boss is still the most intense conflict between players. For example, now, the two guilds each have 40 or 50 people, and they are besieging the platinum level Spider Queen together. There are more than a dozen or 20 player corpses in the field, who were killed by the boss during the strategy process. The Spider Queen has less than 1/3 of her health left. While attacking the boss and dodging skills, the members of the two guilds reacted completely differently. The people of the Whitebone Guild kept mocking, cursing, and harassing. The players of the Dragon's War Guild focused on beating the boss, but their faces were definitely not good. It's so annoying. How can the Whitebone Guild be so disgusting? We figured out the boss mechanism, but they snatched it and cursed us. Don't be distracted. Just deal damage. We now have a higher damage share. Keep it up. The boss will belong to us. Fuck! Crotchman, why did your DPS suddenly exceed 5,000? I used a bloodline skill. 45,000 per hit. Don't worship me. I'm just a legend. 600 cheat. Crotchman is awesome. He used the bloodline skill with a 24-hour cooldown. We can't let the Whitebone Guild snatch the boss. If we don't use it now, when will we? That's right. Brothers and sisters below, work harder. How come there are still people with less than 2,000 DPS? Go to hell? Sister, I just went to pull the little spider, so I don't have time to deal damage. Otherwise, the DPS will be lower than yours. On the side of the Dragon's Roar Guild, there are both male and female players. As a magician, Yang Xiaoya silently released skills towards the boss. While flexibly moving and dodging the group skills from the boss one after another, her output DPS reached more than 3, which is mid-range in this Dragon Roar team. This level of DPS means that the damage of her big skills can basically be 10,000 or even higher. When the big skills are cooling down, interspersed with releasing small skills, it is a period of stable output. It has been nearly a month since the godforsaken game came, and many players with good strength, talent, and profession have basically formed their combat power. Today's player teams are at a stage where it is relatively easy to kill platinum level boss, but it is very difficult to kill emerald level boss. So the competition for platinum level boss is particularly fierce. Just when the boss output ratio of the Dragon Roar Guild was steadily increasing, the commander of the Whitebone Guild, a knight riding an ostrich, Yoto, couldn't stand it anymore. Oh my god, this won't work. The boss is going to be snatched away. Don't hesitate. Just control the opponent and don't let them output. That's right. As long as there is no kill record, the official can't find trouble with us. Just control them. The Whitebone Guild started to ambush people. The official does not allow players to kill each other, but it does not say that they are not allowed to control people. Without a kill record, the official has no way to deal with this kind of thing. So, as the fight went on, the people of the Whitebone Guild directly attacked and started to play the Dragon Roar Guild opposite the boss. Be careful. The opponent is making trouble. Group shield. Brother Suozi. Give a wind wall to stop it. Pay attention to release the control of the controlled brother. Hiss. President Awu is bound. It's so beautiful. Can you not release her control? The players of the Dragon Roar Guild were extremely calm when they saw this, and even laughed and talked. It was obvious that they were quite experienced in dealing with this situation, and they handled it with ease, and were hardly affected. Seeing this, the commander of the Whitebone Guild, Yo Tao, was immediately furious. Iron Plate Fried Rice. Xiangqiu pull the boss away. Teams 3 to 10 continue to output, and teams 1 and 2 stay to stop the opponent. This is their last resort. Pull the boss away. In the godforsaken game, there is no such thing as pulling away monsters. No matter where the monsters and boss are led, they will not leave the battle and restore full health. But as long as the boss is pulled away and another team in the guild is allowed to entangle the opponent, then the opponent will not be able to output the boss, and this method can be used to grab the ownership of the boss. Oh my god, this is too disgusting. Right? Another Iron Plate Fried Rice. This bee has learned 7 strong hatred skills. No one can grab hatred from him? The players of the Dragon Roaring Guild were stunned, watching the Spider Queen being pulled farther and farther away by the opponent. They just wanted to chase the boss. But 2 players from the opposite team stood up, sneered, and released various deceleration skills. Blizzards, acidic mucus, and the like, spraying them in the range. Catch up if you have the ability. The commander of the Whitebone Guild riding an ostrich. Yarrow laughed. If you can't catch up, we will take this boss. As a result, just when this guy was smug and the players of the Dragon Roaring Guild were itching with hatred, there was no sign. Whether it was the commander of the Whitebone Guild, other players, or even the platinum level boss with 29% of its health left, the health bar above its head disappeared instantly. Boom. The Spider Queen fell to the ground, and the surrounding players also fell in a mess. This scene came too suddenly, making the men and women of the Dragon's Roar Guild all stare with wide eyes. They listened to the prompts coming from their minds. The boss is dead, and the ownership belongs to them. What's going on? The boss still has more than 300,000 health. How come it's gone suddenly? They were confused. They had no idea what was going on. Until the dozen or so players from the Whitebone Guild who stayed behind to stop them were not killed. 2 seconds later, the faces of the group changed drastically. Damn it. The boss and the others were killed by Shadow. Damn. It's Shadow. Damn it. Wasn't Shadow in Los Angeles? Why did he suddenly return to Shanghai? For a moment, the dozen players fled in panic. But unfortunately, they fell down one after another inexplicably when they were only halfway through. After just a few seconds, there was no one left. This scene made the people in the Dragon Roar dumbfounded. The President Awu was a girl wearing a priest robe. Seeing this, she widened her eyes and couldn't believe it. My goodness. Shadow is here to help us. Xiaoya. Shadow doesn't really know you, right? The girl Awu looked at the weak girl with a single ponytail, young Xiaoya, in the crowd, and was very suspicious. Hearing the president's words, young Xiaoya waved her hands quickly. No, how could it be possible, President? Don't listen to them. In the Dragon's Roar Guild, there has been a rumor circulating recently. Shadow, the legendary world's #1 terrifying existence, knows young Xiaoya. Of course, this is not what young Xiaoya said herself, but it was said by a teammate of young Xiaoya's team. Before, our team was bullied by the Knights Templar, and Shadow suddenly appeared and killed the opposing team in seconds. Later, when we went outside to level up, we were also bullied by the vice president of the Whitebone Guild, the fat guy with poor high school grades. Guess what happened? The fat guy disappeared soon after. 2 days later, his starved body was found next to young Xiaoya. A long-haired woman was talking excitedly, extremely excited. And now, Shadow has appeared again. He helped us get the boss and killed the gangsters of the Whitebone Guild. When the boss, Spider Queen, was killed, the boss output of the Dragon Roar Guild team accounted for 39%, and the Bone Guild team accounted for 34%, although Qinfeng killed the boss in seconds. The output accounted for only 26%. So the ownership still belonged to the Dragon Roar Guild. In fact, when Qinfeng killed the boss in seconds, the boss had only the last 29% of its health left. As for why the output ratio is not 29%, but 26%, it is because the boss has skills to restore blood. This results in the total output of everyone adding up to be greater than the boss's blood volume. In this situation, the remaining players of the Dragon's Roar Guild looked at young Xiaoya with excitement. Xiaoya, come on, do you really know Shadow? I don't believe that Shadow is someone who suddenly appeared. How could no one know him in reality? Shadow helped Xiaoya 3 times. It's too unreasonable to say that he doesn't know Xiaoya. Wow, too romantic. Actually protecting Xiaoya in secret, seeing everyone so excited. Young Xiaoya was helpless. She recalled the Shadow she saw at that time. Those eyes did make her feel familiar, but she was not sure whether Shadow was the Qinfeng she liked. Even if it was, she would not disturb him. So young Xiaoya shook her head and said softly, I think it's just a coincidence if you want to talk about danger. I have encountered more dangerous situations, and Shadow didn't appear. These are just coincidences. The president's sister Awu came over and said seriously, it's not necessarily a coincidence. If it's a coincidence, why would Shadow appear here at this time? Young Xiaoya didn't know whether to laugh or cry. No, even if he really knows me and wants to save me, how does he know where I am? How does he know that we have a conflict with the Whitebone Guild? After saying this, everyone was really stumped. Only the guild leader smiled. This proves that you know Shadow. You must have secretly added him as a friend. Admit it, otherwise, why would he appear here? Young Xiaoya had no choice but to sigh and say, you all really think too much? If I had Shadow as a friend, would I not be able to afford a platinum level staff? Although my staff is platinum level, it is only level 10, and the attributes are a bit worse. Otherwise, my DPS can be increased by 1,000. Everyone stopped talking after hearing this. They also figured it out. If young Xiaoya really knew Shadow, she wouldn't still be in their guild, right? At least she should join an official guild, casually. Nowadays, the official guilds in Shanghai City have much better treatment than those outside guild. In the top Wang Meng team, Wang Meng is a tank profession, and his DPS can be 7,000 to 8,000. The team's top mage in Shanghai, Black Plum Big Plum, has an average DPS of 20,000 to 30,000. As for the strongest person in Shanghai besides Shadow, it is naturally the beautiful dragon swordsman Justice Execution, who is said to have a DPS of 50 to 60. Goes in at the highest burst. Even the team's priest Snowy Day has a DPS of 15,000, which is very scary. The output of that small team alone exceeds that of their entire group. I don't know how much DPS Shadow can reach. They were all a little fascinated. Soon, Awu, young Xiaoya and the others bowed in the direction of the boss corpse and thanked Shadow. Although they didn't get a response, they were still a little excited. Shadow is so handsome. This is called killing 10 people in one step and leaving no trace in 1,000 miles. There is an assassin in the team who wants to kill boss, use the Hand of Greed, but the system prompted that the corpse had been used with the Hand of Greed. This made everyone laugh and cry. They all knew that it was Shadow who used the Hand of Greed, but they didn't take it seriously. They thanked the surrounding void again, and then turned and left. On the way back, they happened to meet the official team coming out of the city, led by Anyu and Wang Meng's team, with another 4 teams and a total of 240 official players behind them. They were rushing to the coordinates given to them by Qinfeng, after meeting this group of official players. The players of the Dragon Roar Guild knew why Shadow had just appeared there. It is estimated that he just passed by and saw them being robbed of the boss, so he just took action casually, since the Dragon Roar Guild is also a large guild in Zhanghai City. So when Enyu saw this group of people, he nodded and greeted them. Sister Anne, where are you all going? The president's sister Awu asked curiously. Enyu smiled and said, nothing. Just helping Shadow? Awu's eyes lit up. Shadow is so powerful and still needs help. Then can we go together? Enyu was a little surprised. I wanted to refuse, but still asked Qinfeng privately, because Qinfeng only asked them to call more people, at least 200. It sounds like the more people the better, due to time constraints. The official only had time to gather these 4 teams. If Qinfeng needs more people, it is not impossible to let the Dragon Roar Guild participate. The main reason is that Enyu knows that the players in this guild are more knowledgeable and law-abiding, and have a good reputation, so there is no need to worry about them making trouble. Soon, Enyu received a reply from Qinfeng. She smiled and said to Ao, okay. Shadow said, it's okay. You guys follow, by the way. Hurry up. Shadow is waiting in front. This made everyone in the Dragon Roar Guild excited. A group of people moved forward quickly together. In the end, there were still more than a dozen players on the Dragon Roar side whose mounts were not of good quality and they fell behind. Ao could only let those people go home first. Soon, a total of more than 270 people came to the top of a foggy canyon. We have been to this place before, but we didn't dare to go down. Fortunately, we didn't go down. It turns out that there is an epic boss below. It's so scary. Where is Shadow? We have reached the coordinates. At this moment, a huge bone sword, Pterosaur King slowly flew up from the fog. The pair of dark green pupils glanced at everyone, and suddenly flew in front of everyone and landed, and then said, the destination is below the cliff. In order to save time, I will send you down in batches now. Those who want to be Shadow's wife come up first. Everyone was stunned for a moment. Half a minute later, at the bottom of the cliff, Qinfeng was leaning against the cliff waiting. Suddenly, a pair of bone wings over 20 meters long fell from the mist. Accompanied by Osiris's mean voice, human assassin. Do you want a wife? I'm sending you a wife.